Specialist Nen abilities in Hunter x Hunter are not Nen abilities you can really identify on spot, but more or less, they're abilities that do not fit in any specific category, meaning that this category represents the unknown. Specialist abilities consist of erasing time, stealing, and complete mastery of abilities, maxing out more than one Nen class, and many more. Specialist abilities can really just be anything. As long as it doesn't fit any specific category, it can be its own thing. So what that means is, if Togashi just wanted to do an ass pull or something like that, it would be specialist, because specialist could pertain to literally anything. The unknown, things that do not fit in the specific categories that we've already have information on. So basically, if you're a specialist, you can almost do anything, depending on what your ability lets you do. Rather than having your own unique enhancer ability or emitter ability or anything along those lines, it's its own class. As a specialist, you are your own class. For example, Crollo's specialist ability would be completely different from Patao's specialist ability. Along with Neon and Surdinage, despite being the same class of specialists, they each have their own individual class. And what I mean by this is, specialist isn't just its own ability, it's literally your own personal class. Patao's class of specialist would be completely different from Crollo's, Kurapika's, or Maruim's, because they all vastly do different things. So in other words, the label specialist would be no different than the unknown. As in, you are too unique to be labeled as a class. And since you can't fit into the classes, you'd be a specialist, because of how extraordinary or unknown your abilities are. And a perfect example of this would be the Nen test for specialist. When Patao took the Nen test, the leaf withered away. Now, when Prince Surdinage took the Nen test, he turned the water to acid. And nothing really explains why the water turned into acid. You'd be a specialist because of how unknown it is. If I were to take the Nen test, and then when I took the Nen test, I turned the water into fire, I'd be a specialist, because there's no real explanation as to why that happened. I would be my own unique, my own special class, because I lit the water on fire. Neon can predict the future as her own class. Pakunodo can read minds as her own class. And Aluka can grant wishes. These abilities alone should tell you how much these can vary. A specialist ability could more or less be anything. Maybe even a time stop, considering you can actually overwrite reality and erase time, like your Diavolo. There's not really much to say about the specialist Nen type, because we've seen so little of it, but outside of the Nen potential varying from one individual to another, it's safe to say the Nen chart for specialist varies depending on your Nen ability. So one character could have a maxed out Nen chart, while another could just have enhancement and materialization maxed out. But being able to defy the rules of the verse as your own unique class, and even being able to max out more than one Nen class, easily makes this the most broken class in the entire verse. I really cannot imagine complete mastery over 2 classes, let alone all of them at once. Then on top of that, your own personal class. You have your own personal class with its own unique perks and abilities that would inevitably be unknown to the world of Nen. And considering that with these other classes that you can literally do anything with, that's actually saying quite a lot. But not only that, you could use more than one class of Nen. If you ever fought a specialist, you better run and pray. You better pray to God they have not mastered more than one class. Max potential in 2 classes alone could body you. And please keep in mind, max potential, aka 100%, differs from an enhancer using an emitter ability that caps out at 80. But other than that, remember that specialist is its own unique class, as in you are your own class, and Nen proficiency varies depending on the specialist. And as for the classes, perks, just really think about their own unique abilities. Time stop, resurrection, immortality, granting wishes, or anything along those lines. It could maybe even be luck. It's literally anything in the verse not covered by the Nen chart. Specialist is literally any ability you want it to be at that point, because it's really just unknown. In all honesty, Specialization Nen is really just a nicer way of saying I don't know what the fuck this is.